So the first one is, where does the meeting point of sense objects and mind truly occur? So here we are trying to experientially see when the senses hear something, like I'm going to ring the bell. So you can just try to sense this. So where does the sound meet the mind? Okay, next question, let us see. Next set of questions. Okay, now the next set of questions is, how can I discern the difference between an object being experienced and the subject who is experiencing it? So in this case, when you hear the sound, who is the hearer of that sound, or what is the hearer of that sound? And similarly, when hearing a sound, how can I distinguish between the sound itself and the hearer who is aware of it? Okay, so let us try the once more. Can you see that the hearer is there? When the sound is there, it is there. And when the sound is gone, that one who heard that. Okay, the next one, let us see again. Can you move the slide, Kartika? What do I regard as outside, and is there something I recognize as inside? Like the subject object we were talking about, right? So can you now try to see that sound you hear is outside, and what do you sense is inside? What seems to give you that feeling of inside? Where does this division come about? So can you see that there is an outside and an inside? What makes this division? Next one. Okay, at what moment does what is outside become known as inside? And when that happens, what becomes of the division itself? So the sound enters awareness, and before it becomes a thought, doesn't the outside dissolve into the inside? Can you notice the falling away of the division? So there is one point where this outside inside thing will collapse, and again it will come back. So just see if you can relate to this. Okay, now the same thing we can try with other things also, like when you, whatever you experience, here I'm using the sound. So here I was using the sound. So we can try and experience this with other things also, like when you see something, you see a object, a pen, we can take this. No. So when you see something, the object, like this object is seemingly outside, right? But so our experience of this is inside. But when you really look at that object, there is that point where there is no such division in our knowing. Mhm. That division that this is outside, inside is not there at one point. But then we realize it is outside again. So some mananam based on this, my some questions for all of you based on this. So here what we are trying to do is that this is the mananam we have to do. We have to see in our experience. When we are experiencing something as an object, that there is a knowing of that object. So there is a see the first thing we say in our Vedantic teachings also, right? We say that there is a consciousness, and that consciousness is like a witness, but then there is a knowing of that. There is a knowingness, so called. So that knowingness, where is that knowingness coming from? This is the point that we have to understand. Is that knowingness coming just based on my eyes, ears, or is that knowingness coming from that mind?
It is from the mind.
From the mind.
It's coming from the mind. What do you think is the consciousness and what is the mind?
Consciousness is what observes that getting recognized by the mind. It's the observer of the mind. Does that make?
It is observer of the mind, but in this pointer, it is not like that, right? This pointer is saying it is the ear of the ear, it is the seer of the seen. So in this pointer, that knowingness, is it the mind or is it the consciousness? And many of you said it is the mind.
Swamiji,
Yeah, Nilesh.
I feel that it is the light of consciousness in which the mind is able to know the object. So it is in the content of the mind is that consciousness. So it is not that mind is independently knowing something, but it is the light of awareness in which this that I am knowing is arising. That in the form of a vritti, that mind is creating this vritti of I am knowing in the light of awareness.
Yeah. This example, in this teaching, we are not trying to do drigdrishya viveka. We are not trying to just try to note that witness of the mind, witness of the thoughts. Here that pointer is from the knower point only, the one who knows. So generally there are two perspectives to this knowing. One is the knowing through the mind. Knowing through the mind is what? Like knowing through the mind is I see this pen. So I am knowing, I am the one who is knowing, and the pen is the object that is being known. So this is called as pramata prameya. Pramata means I'm the knower, and the object is the prameya. So there is a relationship, and this relationship is based on what? It is based on the vrittis, the thought activities. I get a thought that this object is I'm being pursued by me as a subject. So there is a duality. I am the subject, this is the object. So this kind of a knowing is happening, and all our worldly relations and transactions are based on this object, subject, and object knowing. Now there is one point when the first thought comes to you. This, even though there is no label, there is nothing, that seeing is happening. So in that seeing, there is no thought as such. And there is just a light only, as you were saying, there is just that light of consciousness. There is you can say like a pure knowing without subject object. There at that point, you don't even experience inside outside. And that knowing is operating all the time for us. Okay. And this knowing is really called as the Jnata, or the what we call the Chaitanya Tattva and all that. So that knowledge that is coming, that Jnata, it is coming in that light of consciousness. So then that question was there, Manana question. At what point the object and subject division falls? So if you can experience that one point where, meaning you are already experiencing all the time, but if you can recognize that experiencing of that division of subject object, at that point you recognize consciousness. So at that point it is not the knowing, it is that knower of that knowing kind of feeling. There is only that knowingness, you can say. There is no knower and known as such. So this is that point which the pointer is saying, the teachings are saying, in that hearing, by just that thing, by just the ears you can't hear, that light of consciousness shines, and then there is a experience that comes, and then the mind qualifies that experience and says that, oh, I know this, I see this, I hear this. So this is where that separation happens. The mind kind of tries to divide, separate, qualify, name, label, all that. But that knowing is pure. So in that sense, whether you know a good thing or a bad thing is not going to make change difference to that consciousness. That experience of knowing, that recognition of knowing is not dependent on just seeing good or bad things or hearing good or bad things. So generally in meditation, we try to hear like this bell or good things, because that is an easier way to focus. But the actual knowingness does not require that. That consciousness does not divide this as good and bad, doesn't judge anything like that. Okay, so this is that perspective of that, and again, it is not just my words. You have to try to experience that. You have to try to practice that. Okay, but this is just a pointer, and you go back sometime and do that. So the main difference here, like because many of us are so used to it, we are thinking that it is just observing the mind, like the sakshi. It is not here. Here the pointer is not that. Of course, if you can rest in sakshi, it is always good. There is nothing, bad about it. But the pointer here is in that experience, in that very experience of things in your daily life. You can recognize the Atma Tattva. That is the teaching here.